Horror games don't feel that scary during the day, but playing them in the dark changes everything. These are the games that focus on atmosphere, tension, and pure fear. Here are the top 18 horror games you must play in the dark. A.I.L.A is a horror game that released toward the end of 2025. Instead of just being another ghost or zombie game, it puts you in the role of a game tester, checking out horror simulations created by an AI called A.I.L.A. And these scenarios don't play nice. The gameplay shifts a lot because of that setup. One moment you're sneaking around and solving puzzles in an eerie house, and later you might actually be fighting undead with limited weapons. It's all first person, so you're right in the action, whether you're exploring dark spaces, piecing together clues, or trying to survive intense chases. What keeps it interesting is how varied everything feels. You'll crouch and hide in one chapter, work through environmental puzzles in another, and deal with visceral combat in yet another. It's almost like a horror anthology stitched together by the AI's twisted imagination.
As to wander into my sanctum, the last bastion of true art in this forsaken world.
Let us not forget the sacrilege that has been committed against our nation.
They don't speak unless you listen closely.
Oh yes, they whisper to me.
Beyond Hanwell is a horror game set in a dark and broken version of London, where something has clearly gone very wrong. You're exploring the area around Hanwell, trying to understand what caused the city to collapse, while dangerous anomalies roam the streets. Gameplay mixes exploration, combat, and survival. You'll search buildings for supplies, manage limited resources, and fight enemies using both melee weapons and guns. Combat feels heavy and risky, so you can't just rush in without thinking. Sometimes it's smarter to use the environment, like traps or hazards, instead of wasting ammo. Beyond Hanwell isn't about fast scares. It's about atmosphere, danger, and slowly pushing forward in a place that doesn't feel safe. If you like survival horror with exploration and hands-on combat, this is a solid game to check out.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I'm sure you have a whole file on me by now, Detective.
Who is it? Can he be trusted?
There is just something about tonight. Different.
Uncle, what's going on here? Look at this mess!
I'm sorry. This place? There are some very disturbed figures around here. And I don't think it's just the patients. I've been reading some things about how Derceto has a deranging effect on people.
Are you ready to tell me why you are here, Miss Hartwood? And why you brought a detective? I want you to know I'm here to help.
Alone in the Dark is a modern take on one of the oldest horror games out there. The story is set in the 1920s and takes place inside Derceto Manor, a creepy asylum in New Orleans. You follow either Edward Carnby or Emily Hartwood as they investigate strange events connected to a missing person. Gameplay mixes exploration, puzzles, and combat. You're moving through the manor, searching rooms, finding clues, and solving problems to open new areas. Combat is more present than in the original, with both melee weapons and guns, but resources are still limited enough that you have to think before fighting. What makes the game interesting is how story-driven it is. Characters, dialogue, and notes play a big role, so you're not just surviving, you're trying to understand what's really happening inside the manor. Playing different characters also changes parts of the experience.
You can't rewrite what's already happened. My path brought me here to this corpse of a home. These fading memories, they're all I have left. You fought so hard not to drown. And yet here you are, dragging yourself deeper. It feels familiar, doesn't it? You loved this place once.
Total Chaos started as a Doom mod, and later became a full standalone horror game, and you can really feel that old-school survival vibe in it. The game takes place on Fort Oasis, a decaying island filled with abandoned buildings, strange symbols, and signs that something went very wrong long ago. You arrive alone, with almost no explanation, and the game lets that mystery sit with you. Gameplay is all about survival. You explore rundown areas, search for supplies, craft basic weapons, and manage your health and stamina carefully. Combat is rough and desperate. Weapons break, ammo is limited, and enemies are dangerous, so you're often deciding whether to fight or avoid trouble entirely. The game messes with your head more than it tries to shock you, especially as the story becomes more psychological the deeper you go. The Medium is a horror game that focuses more on atmosphere and story. It follows Marianne, a woman who can exist in both the real world and the spirit world at the same time. That ability pulls her into an abandoned resort with a dark history that slowly reveals itself as you explore. The main gameplay hook is the dual world system. At certain points, you're controlling both worlds at once, solving puzzles that only make sense when you pay attention to how those two realities connect. There's no real combat here, so the tension comes from exploration, avoiding threats, and figuring out what the place is hiding. The Medium is calm on the surface, but heavy underneath. It's the kind of horror game that relies on mood, sound, and story to pull you in.
The moon. Scent of pines. And then the gunshot. Every story has two sides. A regular, rational one, but also a darker and deeper truth. Not unlike a nightmare. I can see both. Worse, I can live them. Sadness?
Fear the Timeloop mixes classic survival horror with a time loop idea that changes how you play. The story follows a sheriff who wakes up badly injured inside a creepy hospital, only to realize he has a very limited amount of time before everything resets. Each loop gives you another chance to understand what's going on and how to survive a little longer. Gameplay is built around pressure. You're exploring dark areas, solving puzzles, dealing with enemies, and managing limited resources, all while knowing the clock is always working against you. Dying isn't just failure here, it's part of the process. Every loop teaches you something new about the layout, the threats, or what you should do differently next time. Combat and exploration feel tense because you can't do everything in one run. You have to make choices. Do you push forward and risk it, or play it safe and save what you've learned for the next loop?
That's me. Hey, Rose, you copy?
Loud and clear, James.
I still can't find a way out. This place, it's falling apart. Slime on the walls, collapsed hallways. Honestly, I don't know.
Amnesia: The Dark Descent is one of those horror games that's still fun no matter how many years pass. You wake up in a dark castle with no memory of who you are or why you're there, and the game keeps things vague on purpose. Gameplay is built around fear and helplessness. You can't fight enemies at all. Instead, you're hiding, running, and trying not to look at things that can literally break your sanity. Light matters, sound matters, and even standing still for too long can make things go wrong. That alone keeps you constantly on edge. What makes it so fun is how simple everything is. You're opening doors, solving basic puzzles, and moving through dark hallways. But your imagination fills in the gaps. The game doesn't need constant scares because the tension never really lets up.
Attention, Daniel. It's important that you keep going straight and make sure not to stray.
Ascend to the skies and claim the heavens as your kingdom.
Still having nightmares, I see.
Yes, I can't shake them. They come every night.
Devotion is a horror game that feels quiet on the surface, but really heavy once it starts playing. The story follows a family living in an apartment in 1980s Taiwan, and at first, everything feels normal. But as you move through the same space again and again, small details start to change. The gameplay is simple and slow. You're mostly walking around the apartment, examining objects, listening to conversations, and putting pieces together. There's no combat and no traditional scares. Instead, the tension comes from repetition, memory, and realizing how the family's beliefs and choices slowly spiral out of control. What makes Devotion unsettling is how real it feels. The apartment feels lived in, the characters feel human, and the horror comes from emotional pressure rather than monsters. You're not running from something, you're uncovering it, step by step.
They come and go as they please. I'll die in these woods. My best shot here is finding a way to call for help.
Pneumata puts you inside an apartment building where something is clearly wrong, but no one tells you exactly what. People are missing, strange things keep happening, and the place feels unsafe in a very quiet way. Gameplay feels like a mix of classic survival horror and modern first-person tension. You explore tight hallways and dark rooms, solve puzzles, manage limited resources, and deal with enemies that are better avoided than fought. Combat exists, but it's slow and stressful, so you're always thinking twice before pulling the trigger. The game plays heavily with your senses. Sounds come from places you can't see, lighting changes the mood instantly, and some moments make you question what's real. It's very close and personal, especially in first person, which makes everything feel more intense when you're alone.
Can you answer me back?
You're fired. You hear me? Fired.
Jesus, Gregor! Gregor!
For my heart
Still Wakes the Deep takes place on a huge oil rig in the middle of the ocean. You're just a regular worker trying to get through the day when something goes seriously wrong. The rig is cut off from the outside world, the weather turns bad, and whatever's happening on board keeps getting worse. There's no combat here. You'll climb ladders, run through flooded corridors, and sneak past monsters that you can't fight head-on. There are simple puzzles to solve and obstacles to get around, but the real challenge is staying alive while everything around you collapses. The way the game uses its setting is pretty clever. The rig doesn't feel like a cheap, scary map. It's oppressive, noisy with machinery, and claustrophobic in spots, which makes even quiet moments feel tense. Storms, creaking metal, and the endless sea outside make the whole place feel like another kind of threat. Martha is Dead begins with a calm moment that immediately feels wrong. You're in the Italian countryside during World War II, surrounded by quiet scenery, but that peace doesn't last long. A tragic discovery pulls you into a story that's deeply personal and slowly unravels in uncomfortable ways. The game is mostly about observation and investigation. You spend time exploring environments, interacting with objects, taking photos, and trying to understand what really happened. There's no combat pushing you forward, so the experience relies entirely on atmosphere and storytelling. What really makes the game stick is how real it feels. The horror isn't about monsters or sudden scares. It's about loss, family issues, and mental trauma, and the game doesn't shy away from those themes. Some moments are hard to sit through, especially if you're playing alone.
Strangely, all the fish died this summer. It smells horrible there now, like death.
Vorrei sapere la verità, vorrei sapere cosa accadrà. E tanto piove, niente si muove, questo silenzio non mi basterà. Ovvio che fiore.
My room was so cozy and comfortable back then. Piece by piece, I need to get it out. I need to make that pain go away.
Where the hell am I?
When the Leviathan Corporation came, everything changed. We brought hope.
This mother that you all worship, has she made this city any better?
He has lingered too long at the gate of death. How do you know if his consciousness is still in his body anyway?
Tell me, do you think a glimpse of a memory is the absolute truth? You don't get to choose to see the events that led up to these memories, or what transpired after.
You should know more than I do about how Leviathan operates.
Why don't you kill me?
Because you're a good person. Whether it's in this space...
Karma: The Dark World is a psychological horror game that blends mystery and story-driven exploration. In this first-person game, you step into a dystopian world inspired by an alternate East Germany, where a powerful group called the Leviathan Corporation tightly controls everything. Your character, Daniel McGovern, is an agent tasked with investigating strange cases by exploring memories and uncovering layers of deception. A big part of the experience comes from how the game blurs reality and memory. Sometimes the world around you shifts, environments change without warning, and you have to question what's real. The gameplay is more about exploration and puzzle solving than combat. You'll walk through detailed, dig into clues, interview suspects, and even dive into distorted mental landscapes that often feel surreal and unsettling. Poppy Playtime starts with a very simple setup. You go back to an old toy factory where everyone mysteriously disappeared years ago. You don't get much explanation, which makes exploring it even more uncomfortable. The gameplay is mostly about exploring and solving puzzles. You use a tool called the Grab Pack to grab objects, pull switches, and open paths through the factory. There's no real fighting. Most of the time, you're just trying to figure out where to go and what to do next. What makes the game scary is how it switches moods. One moment, you're calmly solving a puzzle, and the next, you're running because something is chasing you. That sudden change keeps you tense, especially when you're playing alone. Poppy playtime is easy to understand. It focuses on creepy spaces, simple puzzles, and moments that catch you off guard, which is why it works so well as a horror game.
You opened my case.
مين هناك؟ في حد موجود هنا.
The Dark Pictures House of Ashes puts you in a really bad situation right from the start. A military mission goes wrong, and a group of soldiers ends up trapped underground in an ancient ruin buried beneath the desert. Whatever lives down there isn't human, and it's been waiting a long time. What makes House of Ashes feel different is the constant pressure between survival and trust. You're switching between characters with very different personalities and priorities, and the game keeps forcing you to decide who to believe and who to protect. Conversations matter just as much as action, and a single choice can quietly set up consequences that hit much later. House of Ashes stands out because it blends horror and character drama without overcomplicating things. It feels like a tense survival story where teamwork matters just as much as staying alive.
Fucking talking here! This ain't a charity! This is business! Business don't mean shit without the law!
Mother, in the name of God, in the midst of hearts of little children.
Property don't mean shit without a threat of violence!
Who wouldn't die for their children?
Spread my fruit on the next one. Spread it round here.
Cut down. Well, what do you think?
Experience has taught me one truth about the human limits of terror and pain.
Which is?
There are none.
The Outlast Trials takes the Outlast series in a very different direction. Instead of just running from danger with no context, you're thrown into messed up experiments. You're not there to investigate. You're there because they want to see how far they can push you. The gameplay is all about completing objectives while avoiding enemies. You're moving through creepy facilities, flipping switches, carrying items, and trying not to get caught. There's no real fighting back, so when things go wrong, your only options are to hide, run, or use tools to buy yourself a few seconds. Each trial feels like a challenge you slowly learn. You start to understand enemy patterns, safer routes, and how to manage your stamina and items better. Between runs, you unlock upgrades that change how you approach the next trial, which makes progress feel earned. Cry of Fear feels very different from most horror games, and that's what makes it memorable. It started as a Half-Life mod, but it doesn't feel like a side project. The game drops you into an empty Swedish city that feels broken and unstable, just like the main character you're controlling. The gameplay is old-school survival horror done in first person, but with its own twists. You have a small inventory and have to decide what's worth carrying. Weapons and tools can be combined, and you can even dual-wield items like a weapon and your flashlight. Enemies are brutal and unpredictable, and you're often balancing whether to fight or sneak around them. If you're looking for a horror game that stays with you long after you stop playing, this one has a personality you don't see very often.
My name is Simon. I'm just an average guy. Nothing special about me. Like someone you don't notice. Someone nobody cares about. Someone left outside. More often than not, I'm alone. And anxiety and depression controls my life every day. Being lonely all the time is not an easy thing to deal with. It makes stuff happen in your mind. Stuff you're not supposed to be thinking or experiencing. You ask me why I'm wandering these streets, why I'm carrying a gun. I can't answer. I couldn't answer if I wanted to.
Layers of Fear 2 puts you in the shoes of a Hollywood actor who's pulled into a creepy situation that's way more than just filming a movie. You're on board a massive ocean liner at first, summoned by a mysterious director who wants you to act in his production. But the deeper you go, the more reality and nightmare start to blend together. The game plays from a first-person view and is mostly about exploration and story. You walk through changing environments, pick up clues, solve puzzles, and slowly unravel what's going on with your character's past and why this director wants you there. Visually, the game is interesting because the ship and spaces around you warp and transform in surreal ways. One moment things look almost normal, and the next, the whole scene shifts into something unsettling or impossible.
Talent, prestige, recognition. You took away what was rightfully mine. But what was stolen can be reclaimed. It's been years. And yet, it all still feels unreal. The memories. The nightmares.
Phasmophobia is a horror game built around ghost hunting that's still super popular because it turns something simple, investigating haunted locations, into a genuinely spooky experience, especially when played with others. You and up to 3 friends take on contracts to collect evidence of paranormal activity in all kinds of eerie places. Gameplay is all about tools and teamwork. You'll use items like EMF readers, spirit boxes, cameras, and ghostwriting books to figure out what type of spirit you're dealing with. Each ghost type has different behaviors and evidence patterns, so you're always trying to piece together clues while managing fear, sanity, and limited supplies. If you step into the dark too long or see too much paranormal activity, your sanity drops and the ghost becomes more active and aggressive.
To me.
I'm getting EMF readings.
Okay, this is it. It's in the room. Did you see that? Hello?
All right, guys, gear up. I'm heading out. See you in there, okay?
Maybe.
All right, approaching the lodge. Oh, it's definitely been here.
We're not picking anything up.
Keep your eyes peeled.
I'm dropping it down. Guys?
I've got contact.
We're on our way.
Where are you?
This is starting to freak me out.
We have to regroup. Get back together right now. It's hunting us!